Hey everybody, welcome to month 4 of food school. This is probably my favorite month of food school because just of how applicable it is to everybody's lives. And you can kind of customize it to be your own. So we are going to go from the tracking we kind of practiced last week to thriving in all areas of palatability, grocery shopping, and more. Let's talk about grocery shopping and label reading first. I'm sure some of you have heard about this before, but sometimes reading labels could really be a scientific experiment if you kind of choose things that are packaged most of the time. So, what I want to talk about is just kind of why grocery skills matter in the first place. So, you kind of don't rise to your goals that you have. They're very aspirational, they're very far reach. You're falling to your system. So you need a fallback and you need to learn certain things so that you can put these systems in place. You cannot out discipline a poorly stocked kitchen. You're just going to set yourself up to fail. I know there's a meme that's been circulating recently about my good conscience not buying any snacks, and then I'm feeling snacky and there's nothing in the house to grab. You can get creative in that instance, but that's kind of where people's heads are at these days. And what's in your cart determines what you're going to eat your entire week. So when you think about it that way, you can kind of build out a plan, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Grocery stores are also designed to sell convenience, not really sell you healthy things. So a lot of the time you'll notice that like healthy things or healthier things just aren't packaged beautifully. There's like, here's your pound of beef. It's literally just beef. There's nothing pretty about it. You can literally see the raw self in there. Um, it's not beautiful. Whereas packaged goods are usually designed to catch your eye. And your job here is to shop with intention. Make sure you go to the restroom and you eat something substantial before you go into the grocery store, before you get out of your car, or even before you leave your house. Maybe have your list handy and your plan for your meals for that week. I make sure to do that every time, even if it's so last minute that I'm doing it in my car before I go into the grocery store. Um, you don't have to rush every time. Break yourself down a second and breathe and reset in the car, gather your stuff, take your time, make sure you have everything in order, and then go in and just know it's not built for the what we're trying to eat, but we can work with it. So now you're tracking from the last month, kind of taught you what you need to be eating and what ranges you need to be eating in, and you can still track. I love that. I love doing it mindfully and kind of learning from it. But you still have to, put food in your house. So the shopping is determining whether you can actually meet those goals that you have in your tracking apps, if that's what you're still doing. The layout of your grocery store. All of them follow fairly similar layouts. Just shopping the perimeter is going to be your best friend. That is where the produce, meats, dairy, and eggs are. Middle aisles are mostly shelf stable and processed foods, but not all of them. So think of the rice, the oats, canned tuna, things like that you can still choose from. So don't completely abandon those aisles. Build your cart from the perimeter first. That always helps me because if I have a plan, I'm gonna do the perimeter first. And then if I, slowly make my way towards the center, those are just like fun foods most of the time. Building your balanced grocery cart. This is just an example of setting your week up for success so you don't feel like you are short on things once you go to cook. I think in categories, not really recipes. I do think in recipes, but not while I'm grocery shopping. Protein, I pick 2 to 4 of those every single week. I have 2 mouths to feed in my household. Some of you may have more, some of you may have less. So think about that. I know that Dean can eat a pound of beef in a sitting, so I have to make sure I have enough, right? For myself as well, included. And carbs. I like to have a carb on my plate with every single meal. Depends on, the personal size, but usually it's the size of my palm or the size of my fist. So make sure you have a couple of whole food-based carbs on hand: rice, potatoes, oats, and fruit. Those are great options. And also, fruit kind of weaves into this fiber and color category. I love varying up the fruit every single week based on what's in season. Same with the vegetables. You need color on your plate. If your plate's looking beige, we need to add, some fluff to it. As for fats, I usually have butter in the fridge. It's not a weekly thing I need to purchase because it lasts us a long time. Same with avocado oil, avocados, nuts, seeds, nut butters, things like that. Those are like probably things you maybe have to buy once a month because you're not going to go through them super quickly, but they are very important to keep in your diet. And label reading. Okay. So while you're grocery shopping, you'll notice if you look at your cart and you're seeing a lot of labels everywhere, you're going to notice, okay, I am picking a lot of packaged goods. Maybe then your focus that week is to pick things around the perimeter first, and then you can maybe add like 4 packaged goods, right? But you're going to read the labels on those packaged goods. So the marketing is on the front. That's why your attention's being grabbed up and down every single aisle. But information is on the back side of every packaged good. So here is a nutrition fact label, and then to the right, you will see ingredient label examples. These two on the right, ingredient lists, you'll notice one is really short. The other one's really long. They're both potato chips. Now, I'm not going to tell you which brand this one is because I don't even remember. I just screenshotted it. This one is the Odin's beef tallow potato chips at Costco or Sam's Club, depending on where you are. There are 3 ingredients. A rule of thumb, the shorter the list of ingredients, the better it probably is. Now, if you see ingredients, cane sugar and cacao, maybe that's not like the best, but maybe those are just chocolate chips that you're getting for something for the week or for the month, things like this. If you're just reading stuff and you're like, what even is this like science experiment that I'm reading here? Riboflavin, thiamine, mononitrate, corn, canola oil, sunflower oil. No, cheese seasonings, things like this, yellow 6 like colors, avoid those. You can always find something better. And if you are standing in that aisle and you are just at a loss for what the heck chip to pick, maybe don't get the chips that week, or bust out your phone and Google it. There's no shame in trying to do some research while you're in there. Or ask me. That's what I'm here for. Nutrition fact label. Let's talk about this a little bit. I like to look at the serving size, which is up here. This is super important when it comes to things. I don't remember what I screenshotted this off of, but this was something. Maybe rice or something. We'll see. My dog's playing back there. Sorry if you can hear him. But you can look at the calories and look at the serving size. If 2/3 cup or 55 grams is a serving size, 230 calories are in that serving size. Then you come down to total fats. This is how many fats are in here. Trans fats, we've talked about this once. Ideally, you want that to always be 0. They should be banned in the US, but sometimes companies get around things. Carbohydrates are here, and then proteins here. I like to look at dietary fiber as well as total added sugars. I try to keep this number of sugars and added sugars, especially added sugars, as close to 0 as possible. Sometimes total sugars, if you're looking on something like the fruit, it will say total sugars and you'll be like, whoa, that's a lot of sugar. It's probably because it is a fruit, like an apple or something. But if it's added sugars, they're diabolically putting sugar in there on purpose. You'll see that a lot in peanut butter. I see that all the time. Just try to avoid peanut butter with added sugars. That is just a waste of sugar. If you're going to use your sugar allowance, use it very sparingly. You don't want to run it out too fast. Okay. Ingredient lists made simple. So basically this just recaps what we talked about before. So if it reads like a chemistry experiment, it's probably very, very highly processed. So maybe stay away from that kind of thing. Shorter the better. Rule of thumb, shorter, generally less processed. Ingredients that you recognize are very important. Stay close to those. Sugar should not be the first, really rarely. Think of that 80-20 rule. Processed doesn't mean evil. Hence rice, canned tuna, etc. It just means to be intentional. And then this is the health halo trap that I just wanted to touch on really quickly. A lot of the times we will see packaged goods. Bourbon, it's okay. We will see packaged goods And we'll read the front of them and we'll see all these fancy green labels. Oh, but it's gluten-free, it's high in protein, it's low in fat. These are traps meant to try to grab you. Obviously, I took these from the internet, but they want to reel you in and make you really want what they're selling. And this is a selling point for people and for companies. So does this actually support your health is a question you should ask yourself when you are trying to grab for these products, or is it just the marketing on the front? A good example of this is, let me think, pancakes. I'll see like pre-made pancakes sometimes, and they'll have these labels on here, and then you turn it over, and it's like first ingredient is cane sugar. When you could easily make pancakes at home that are way better, probably taste better too. And so now you have the skills to verify these types of claims. You can look at that and look at the back and be like, just because it's low fat doesn't mean it has no sugar in it. I see that all the time. Same thing with gluten-free and high protein. You can literally see these on the front of containers, along with many others, organic, natural, keto. Flip it over, it'll have a diabolical amount of sugar. Or other weird ingredients, syrups, things we don't even know what they are. All right, so let's talk section 2. Palatability and weaning off processed foods. A lot of the times I hear people tell me, Haley, I'm so bored. I don't love like just boring foods, like the same thing over and over again and just plain, blah, blah, blah. You are probably so conditioned to eating engineered foods that your taste buds and palate just doesn't even know what is normal, right? And so that takes some time to wean away from. And I'm not saying cut it out 100%. Think 80-20. But palatability is how stimulating a food is to your brain. So it is sending signals. When you put something in your mouth, on your tongue, and you taste it, your brain gets a signal. It gets hit with dopamine. It gets hit with something that's in there that, kind of makes you feel good. It's a comfort thing. High palatable foods include high fat and high carb combinations. Think of M&Ms. High salt. M&Ms also have salt. And think Chips Ahoy for high salt. They put an extra amount of salt in Chips Ahoy cookies so that you really enjoy them. Highly processed. Same two examples. And designed to be overconsumed. You will not feel full from really palatable foods. You'll want more, in fact. So later when you're feeling sick, if you eat too many. So the key idea is that they really override your fullness signals and really your decision-making skills. So sometimes it happens to the best of us. It happens to me all the time. Like all the time. I have to figure out a way to control it a lot when this does happen. A lot of times I'll scroll on my phone and be munching on something, and then before you know it, it's all gone. And I'm not even full. I'm still hungry and I want to eat another bag of it. You have to take that thought and that feeling and separate it and realize, okay, that is not a real thought going on right now. All right, so why whole foods may taste boring to you. If you are used to things on the following list: sweet coffee drinks or sweet snacks, packaged snacks, fake sweeteners, restaurant level, salting your food. If you eat out a lot, or if you eat things like Chipotle a lot, Chick-fil-A a lot, you have a little bit of a skewed version of taste. Then whole foods are really going to feel underwhelming if that's the case. So what you have to do is adapt your palate. It is not because you don't love those foods. It is not because you don't have the discipline. You are conditioned on accident. You have conditioned yourself to like those way better than whole foods because you are oversaturated with the sugars, the processed, and the salt. Retraining your taste buds. Okay, so what you need to expect here when you are retraining your taste buds, if that sounded like you on the previous slide, is weeks 1 to 2. Your cravings are going to be so out the roof, like strong. You're just going to be miserable. I'm just going to flat out tell you right how it is. And when you're eating whole foods, they're just going to taste very blah. Yeah, I mean, go ahead and salt your food, pepper your food, put garlic powder, seasoning, paprika, everything on there to make it taste as good as you can. Like, you don't have to eat plain beef. You can still make it taste good. And then weeks 3 to 4. Processed foods are going to taste a little bit more pungent to you. Like when you eat something, you might be like, whoa, that was crazy, crazier than I remember. And fruit might taste a little bit sweeter. Vegetables are going to become a little bit more tolerable and palatable in the sense of you might start trying and experimenting with new veggies and realizing, oh, I actually kind of like this. So you're just basically conditioning yourself, and you have to adapt in order to kind of get towards this 80-20 scale of whole foods. And I talk about this 80-20 rule all the time, but it really is the key to longevity when it comes to your health and wellness and the fitness and the food that you put in your body. It goes for fitness too when you're working out. 80-20 rule. Like, you don't have to go 100% like all out every time at the gym to see progress. You can do 80-20 and still have a nice time. So 80% of the time, you're going to strive for whole, minimally processed foods. 20% of the time, you're going to be intentionally flexible when it comes to your food. If you are planning your week and you know you have one night and one lunch out with clients, boom, that's your 20%. Like, plan it out, and then it won't feel like you're falling off of any sort of set diet because you're planning it and building it into your life and schedule. This prevents you from restricting, binging, all of those things. And it really allows you for that social flexibility. If you have things you know that are coming up, say you have a chill week and you don't have anything, still build in that 20%. Or maybe something's going to come up and then that will be your 20% when it arrives. And it does build long-term sustainability, like I talked about. Section number 3, you guys. Okay. Actually enjoying whole foods. Let's talk about what that means. They do not have to be boring, like I mentioned before. You have to kind of learn how to cook things. I am not the best at this still. Dean is a lot better of a cook when it comes to meats and vegetables and all that sort of thing. But you kind of have to cater to what you end up liking, and that might take a little bit of experimentation at first. Salting does matter. If you're eating plain, it's probably not going to taste very good, no matter what it is, really. I salt my veggies and my meat, and probably every carb that I'm creating, there's a little bit of salt in there. Acidity brightens flavor. This is just hopefully a little bit helpful for you. Fat improves mouthfeel and like texture of your food and when you're eating it. Roasting is a lot more flavorful than steaming, but I like steaming still. And texture makes meals feel satisfying. So crunch, for example, a good texture example would be I love to make yogurt bowls every day for a snack. Very high in protein, but yogurt is just yogurt. And even when I add things like blueberries and flaxseed, hemp seed, chia seeds, those really don't give me like an additional crunch factor. I like a crunch. So I do add a serving of granola on top of it, and then I mix it all together, and that really helps satisfy the texture thing and kind of like working for it type feel because I have to chew. I can't just like slime it down my throat, you know? Next one. Here's a little bit of a satisfying meal formula when it comes to satiety and hunger cues and fullness cues. Making sure your plate has protein, fiber, color, remember that color, fat, and texture. Build one meal in your head right now that fits all of the above. And if that's maybe hopefully your favorite meal, if it's something like lasagna, cool. Is it meat lasagna? If not, maybe a side of Parmesan chicken. And oh, okay, we don't really have like a vegetable on the plate there, so maybe let's add some color, maybe some broccoli, and just kind of build it like that. So if you're noticing your favorite food is not kind of ticking all of these boxes, build the plate out some more. And maybe you're gonna, instead of having this big of a piece of lasagna, you're gonna have this big of a piece because you're gonna have other things on said plate. You can still enjoy that food that you love. Section 4, practical fueling strategies. I love this part. So thinking about your body as a machine will sometimes really, really aid in knowing what to give it and provide it and listen to it and work with it. You are one with your machine. Fueling is eating before you're starving, before you feel like you're going to pass out. I have a lot of clients who will literally go so long working like a night shift or something that they will just feel like they're going to pass out, and then they're going to grab whatever's closest to them in sight, something probably packaged because they don't have time to cook. They don't have time to wait because they're going to pass out. So definitely staying on top of that and noticing when you do get hungry and working right before that time frame. Eating for your workouts and eating for mental clarity. If you notice you get foggy brain, that's probably something to do with your nutrition or your hydration. So always keeping a water bottle near you because you know you're going to stay ahead of your hydration before you're waiting until you're absolutely dying of thirst. reminded me to drink something. And then dieting looks kind of like skipping meals, under-eating portions, under-eating your protein, and having an over-reliance on caffeine. That is something that I see all the time is people extend time between meals by drinking caffeine. So it doesn't necessarily mean caffeine is bad. It just means that being aware of that habit and if that's something that you need to address. And if so, you can totally reach out to me. So which one feels more sustainable? I feel like this is a really rhetorical question because I feel like it's always the top one for everybody. Pre-workout fuel. Some of you might be at different stages of working out and having a fitness routine in your weekly lifestyle. So take this with a grain of salt, and I will explain a little bit in depth when it comes to fueling for your workouts. 1 to 2 hours before an hour-long workout, that means you are lifting weights for an entire hour with a couple minutes of rest in between sets, or you're doing a CrossFit class, or you are swimming, running, biking, rowing, things like that, that you're really going to be working about 45 minutes of that hour. And the other 15 minutes is spent warming up / taking rest between sets. You should be eating 20 to 40 grams of carbs about 1 to 2 hours before. That's a big range. If you feel as though you're going to have a light day, and yeah, you're going to be at the gym for an hour, but it's a deload week on your strength plan or something, or you're just going to be cycling for 30 minutes, like you might need more, maybe just 20 grams of carbs, But if you're like, I'm going to go do a competition and it's 1 hour long of rowing the entire time, maybe 40 and even 50 grams of carbs is probably more sustainable and will help you. Along with 15 to 30 grams of protein, keeping the fats to a minimum because fats sometimes make us lethargic and a little bit tired. They take a little bit longer to digest and release. So that could look like a Chobani yogurt drink with a piece of watermelon on the side. It could look like some protein oatmeal. It can look like your lunch and you're working out 2 hours later. This can really look like anything you want it to. Just go ahead and jot down a couple ideas if you want to after this webinar or during. I'm totally excited if you're taking notes right now, and feel free to share them with me if you want, and I can review them with you, see if anything's missing. Post-workout fuel. This is the same, this also is dependent on if you are working out for probably an hour long, just like I used as an example before. So within 1 to 2 hours after, 25 to 40 grams of protein. A little bit of carbs is fine. It doesn't have to be like super heavy. You don't have to eat a whole bunch of carbs, but that will help you. And sodium if your sweat was high. So if you're in Florida and you're working out in the outdoor gym or running outside, swimming, surfing, all that kind of stuff, probably need some sodium in your drinks, in your water. So definitely hydrate. Carbs, I'm going to put a number there because like 15 for me would be fine, but for like somebody who is a bigger build, like if you're 230 pounds, maybe 50 grams would help you recover a lot better, and your muscles will even feel better the next day because you will literally feel the recovery of the food that you ingested the day before. You'll be like, wow, I'm not even as sore as I expected. That is how it should be. So you have to recover. It is not optional. We are not recovering on good weeks, not recovering on bad weeks. I would prefer you recover all the time. If you're doing a 15-minute at-home workout with 5-pound dumbbells, you probably do not need to worry about this pre-workout and post-workout fuel. You're probably not going to expend enough energy doing a 15-minute workout. And that's not saying that 15-minute workout is bad. That is fabulous. That is just saying that it is not requiring you to be really stringent about your fueling because you're not going to deplete enough, which is fine. I just want you to be aware of that, and the intensity and the length in which you are working out does factor into how much you should be eating pre and post, if at all. So talk to me if you have any questions about your particular workout schedule. Here's just some tips, you guys, for a busy life. I think we are all so busy this day and age. We make ourselves busy, or we can't help it because it's work or kids or family and school, all that fun stuff. So here's some tips. Eating every 3 to 4 hours can sometimes help if it's a smaller meal. Sometimes eating a bigger one helps too if you're going a 6 hour stretch without eating some food again. So play into what you know your schedule allows for when it comes to eating intervals. Anchor it with protein. Start with that, build around it. Um, I use that as a default if we don't have any food in the fridge and we need to eat lunch or something. Cool. We're going to make a protein shake right then and there as a default because I'm going to build around it. I'm going to make a snack plate around that, right? Like a little charcuterie at home board. So that's just always a good fallback to have when you are in a pickle or a pinch. Emergency snacks, super important when you're traveling, if you're in your car, if you are on an airplane, things like that, like road trips with kids, you know you're going to be gone all day at a soccer game. You need to pack snacks. If I leave you with anything today, it is that, because otherwise you're going to catch yourself at the Wendy's drive-through. And batch cook protein weekly, like we talked about, 2 to 4 is fine. It can even be just enough to last you till like a Wednesday or a Thursday. If you're like having a dull day, a low day, off day, you can cook some more on that Wednesday or Thursday. And then repeating simple meals that you personally like. I like crock pot, anything crock pot. So I try to plan in at least 1 or 2 crock pot things per week. That way we can eat that same exact thing for lunch the next day too. So that's actually a big hack too, is when you cook dinner, make double so you can take it for lunch the next day. Always, 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 always. So, overwhelming leads to convenience foods for so many more reasons than just one. And systems are trying to reduce that overwhelm. So, feel free. I'm going to put this PDF too in your homework folder in the Google Drive so you can kind of read through it if you want to take any additional notes. And here are some takeaways from this month 4 webinar. Shop with intention, read your labels like a detective, retrain your palate if you need to. For those whole foods, aim for 80-20 consistency and fueling for life, not just your macros. If you are doing everything in this presentation, the reason this is my favorite is because if you're doing all of this and you're listening to your body and you're feeling it and you are really building your plate the way you should be, sometimes you don't need to track your macros anymore. And so you'll notice a wean off of it naturally. And that is why this is my favorite month. Macros gave you the awareness, whole foods give you the health, and fueling gives you that long-term performance and just overall feel good body that you want to have. So we have homework. I made the last month's really small because you have already done those. So in month 4, here's what you're doing. You are going to make your environment work for you. Post a photo of your grocery haul for the start of next week in the community page on the app, and it must include 2 or 3 protein sources, 3 veggies, 2 fruits, a starch, which is like a carb, and a healthy fat. So basically, the community page is where you can just type a little note. You just agree to the community guidelines, which are just to be nice to each other. And I'll go ahead and comment on it. It could even be like after you get home from the grocery store. It doesn't have to be your grocery cart. You can just lay it all out on the counter. Or if you forgot, take a picture of your pantry and your refrigerator. I'd love to see that too. And we can talk about it. So I hope to see you guys next time. And if you have any questions, please let me know and DM me in the app. The next unit we are talking about is cooking confidence, the what's for dinner question that started the entire premise of food school. So I will see you guys next time. Have a great next month. Bye.